Well, we all know how devastating the floods in KwaZulu-Natal have been. The city of Cape Town now wants to be ready ahead of their rainy winter season. They're desperate to protect communities that may be vulnerable if the floodwaters come. Stormwater drains are being cleaned in areas prone to floods. Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis launched the city's winter readiness campaign today, and he joins us now from Cape Town. Mayor, thank you very much for joining us. So I'm sure you've looked at what has happened in KwaZulu-Natal and shuddered, because we know that Cape Town has its fair share of floods.
That's exactly right, Sally, and that's why I wanted to go out today personally to oversee and inspect the progress on our so-called winter readiness campaign, which looks at what we call jetting, proactive jetting of hundreds of kilometers of sewer line and stormwater line, and particularly, perhaps most importantly, going around to those residents, door to door, literally door to door, to those residents who live in flood-prone areas or below the winter flood lines, and warning them of what we can reasonably expect is coming in June and July and August, and asking them to take proactive action, and also asking for their help in keeping stormwater drains open, keeping them litter-free, so that that infrastructure can stand up for the coming winter rains.
One of the things that's been discussed around what happened in and around eThekwini is this early warning system. My understanding of what I've read of the National Disaster Management Centre's plans for rainy season is that when they know a flood is coming, and you get an alert, I understand, from the Weather Service, that there's all sorts of communication that must happen. If you get word from the Weather Service this coming winter that there's going to be flooding in Cape Town, talk me through how you let people know in specific areas really quickly.
That's a great question. We are actually preparing a citywide, complete simulation of an extreme flood weather event in a couple of weeks' time. So we will do a full simulation across the city where we actually simulate the effects of a devastating flood, inform residents, get our disaster management people on the ground with loudhailers, with speakerphones, with vehicles that can sustain that kind of weather, and get the help on the ground that is needed. But so while we are preparing to do that, and we'll do that simulation in a couple of weeks, I must point out that the whole point of the winter readiness plan is to try and avoid that ever happening by making sure that our stormwater drains and our sewers are clear. And that is exactly why we are spending so much time jetting hundreds of kilometers of that right now.
We know that housing and the land issue is also a difficult one in Cape Town. Are you planning to find parcels of land and try and get people who are living very close to rivers and flood areas to move now so they can be settled before the rainy season?
Again, it's such a crucial question. It's very difficult given the number of people who live in either in actual riverbeds. We have people who live in riverbeds in Cape Town, which are dry in the summer, but we know will be wet, very wet in the winter. Or they are living in wetlands or ponds or flays. It's thousands of residents potentially. So it's difficult to be able to provide land for all of them. But those who do want to move now, as I said, we are going door to door to ask them to take proactive action. So, for example, I spent some time in a settlement called Thabo Mbeki. We convinced some residents to move there. Those who have wanted to move, we've provided alternatives for them.
Close by, though, because that's a critical issue. No one's going to want to move if they go like miles and miles away. Is it close by to where they currently are?
In that particular case, it is close by, but that is not always possible because of the numbers involved. And so we do the best that we can, but really prevention is much better than having to deal with it at the time of flood.
All right, good luck. Let's hope that there isn't cataclysmic flooding in Cape Town, but of course we have to be prepared for it these days. Thank you so much for talking to us this evening, Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis.